The Notaries Unsealed podcast is brought to you by the Notary Success System and Captivated Notary Marketing Solutions. Coming up on this episode.
Find a way to get them to hear you. And sometimes I had to actually ask him, what is it that I'm doing wrong that's making you not listen to me?
You know how the teachers at the school does not listen, or they feel like, you as a parent doesn't know what you were talking about.
And I would say, okay, well, let's review the de-escalation methods. Did you guys do this, 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 and this? And if anything was missed, then we're going to have a problem.
Real smooth this time. We know Notaries Unsealed. This my everyday life. Yeah. We know Notaries Unsealed. Every day I hustle out here living it right. Let's go. We know Notaries Unsealed. Put the stamp down and stop in front of the mic. Here we go. Took the game over. We home now. We soldiers. Griff, Mathurin, and cue the podcast. You can't hold us. Y'all heard the word. Y'all heard the word. Griff,
What's
Mathurin,
going on,
Q.
Notary
Yeah,
World,
we
and welcome back to Notaries Unsealed. I'm your host, Quentin Smith, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Seben Griffin and Ismael Mathurin. Gentlemen, say what's going on to the folks, man.
What's up, people? Having fun here tonight.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just another day.
That's it? That's it? All right. Hey, it's just another day. So,
Yeah.
Ismael, you're having just another day. Griff, how's your week going so far?
Oh, man, this week has been a little light. Not too many signings because I just had to take a little bit of a break. I got 4 and 2 days coming up. But other than that, no, everything's been good, man. I just been sort of relaxing here at the house. That's pretty much it. And I got some stuff I got to do with the wife at the salon. Hang up a new projector for her students, when she projects the lessons and all of that. So other than that, I just been chilling, man.
Cool, man. Is there this projector? So we know how you are, Inspector Gadget Griff. Does this projector have anything special on it?
Oh, man. See, why y'all had to ask?
Come on, man.
All right, look.
That was 07.
There's, okay, the camera that I have that I use for my YouTube videos is a Nexigo. And through Nexigo, they have this product tryout program. And they'll send you products to try out, and you pick which one. So I said, well, let me try this projector because she said her other one was acting up. Well, this projector is nice. It does 4K, and you can connect to it wirelessly, either from your laptop or from your phone through an app. And so I'm gonna get it for free because I had to pay for it, and then I'm gonna do a review on it. And once I finish the review, they'll send me like a gift card for the amount that I paid for it. And man,
that's cool.
This projector is nice. So we already had projector screens from when we was in another building. So tomorrow I'm gonna hang put the hooks up. They already got the hooks, and so we can hang them from the in the classroom. So she just pulled a pure white screen down and project right on there instead of on the wall. But yeah, that projector is nice, and I was playing with it, man. I could go up to 3 screens. So I got my screen, then the attached screen to the on the laptop and the monitor, and then you're projecting as a third screen onto the wall. So you could actually run 3 screens and only have one monitor connected. So it's nice, man, real nice.
Griff, it sounds like you're gearing up to do some type of speaking event. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying like you could be set up to do something.
Well,
if you wanted to.
I did get a new green laser pointer too.
Oh, Professor Griff.
Yeah, man, I got a laser pointer and everything, man. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
That's
007 Griff's at it again.
funny. Mathurin, what's up, man?
Man, look, I want to say it was an interesting day. I know I spoke to you earlier about, some stuff that happened.
Yeah, man.
With the investigation that I was working on and whatnot. But, I had a couple appointments. Let's see, I had 2. Then I had one that canceled. Then one rescheduled for Friday. And that's about it. Came home, spent some time with the kids. And I got, that 4-star review thing. which I had no idea what that was about.
Oh, here we go. All right, go ahead, man.
You know, she done messed up the 5-star general, but you know, it is what it is.
You gotta respond back and just let her know, like, hey, go to YouTube and check. It's 5-star general. So where's this other star at? You've got me confused. You got me confused with somebody else over here.
Yeah, no, she, you know, she left a great review, but I don't know. I'm not sure if she was, you know, she was missing something. I don't know if her finger went off the thing. I don't know
The
what
stars
it is,
wasn't equaling the bars. She dropped bars on you. Ain't supported with the stars. What's up with that?
Sure. Yeah, but beside that, man, it was a good day, man. You know, can't complain.
That's what's up, man. Well, I'm glad to talk to you guys. You know, it's been a couple days since we recorded, and, you know, the podcast has been going great. I'm sure that everybody that's listening has seen all the advertising that we're doing for the podcast. We're really appreciating, you know, the responses that we're getting and all the support that we're getting from the community. So thank you. We just hope to continue to bring an awesome perspective to the notary world that isn't 100% dedicated to, you know, the notary world and trying to sell you something. You know, we're just 3 guys chopping it up, right?
That's right. That's it, man. Just having some fun, talking about life.
Absolutely. So today's topic is something that when we were thinking about coming up with this podcast, this was something that I thought actually brought the 3 of us closer together as friends through our discovery of each other and finding out, you know, kind of vetting each other of who we were. You know, the 3 of us have a role, you know, our family lives that can bring some challenges, and we're going to talk about autism, right? And so the title of this podcast is Acknowledging Autism. And I'm just going to start a little bit. I've shared a lot or a little bit with, you know, the YouTube family that I have an autistic younger brother that I'm now guardian for. Now, I've always been in my brother's life. I'm the only father figure that he's ever known. So I've always been around him. And it wasn't until, you know, my mother got really sick that I became more involved in his care. And it's not that I wasn't involved, I just wasn't responsible for it. And so when he was diagnosed at 4 years old, it was really tough. It was a tough thing to watch and understand. And, you know, me being a young man and not fully understanding what autism was, you know, I had to do some research to understand some of the behavioral aspects about autism. And so I want to share with you guys some statistics from autismspeaks.org. All right. So if you go to their website, they have this section called Autism Prevalence. So in 2021, the CDC reported that approximately 1 in 44 children in the U.S. is diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, ASD, according to 2018 data. 1 in 27 boys identified with autism. 1 in 116 girls identified with autism. Boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. Most children were still being diagnosed after age 4, though autism can be reliably diagnosed as early as age 2. So when I share my story about my brother, you know, when he was diagnosed at 4, it kind of fits right into those national averages. Griff, can you tell us a little bit? You've been dealing, you've been a parent to autistic children for some time, and you've got a lot more history and experience with dealing with autism. We're all going to share here about our experience with this as men and as fathers and as father figures and, you know, and family members dealing with autism. But Griff, I'd really appreciate if you could just open up a little bit about your experience.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, my oldest son has high functioning Asperger's. Now, a lot of people, they don't like, I guess now they don't like using the term Asperger's. So sometimes I come across folk and they, you know, when I talk about my son, you know, they sort of like try to correct me like it's autism, you know, and I'm like, okay, look,
Right,
I'm not,
right.
look, chill. I heard Asperger's and that's what it is. So you define it how you want. Don't try to, you know, take my power away and tell me what I can't call what I'm dealing with my sons. Because when you sit down and really look at it, that's what it is. I've seen high functioning, I've seen low functioning. So when we found out, my son was almost 18 years old. And we dealt with that a whole, you know, throughout his life, but we knew something was going on, but not what. And we had some ups and downs. It was tough. And we knew that the way he operated was different than other kids, but we couldn't put a finger on it. So when I was working out of town and he was really going through some changes, and one of the things was he doesn't like change. So he was going through changes.
Clear sign.
Right. Because I was all of a sudden, our whole world flipped upside down by me working out of town. So he was used to things being a certain way. And our very first indicator, which we didn't catch, we noticed it, but we didn't put two and two together, was when we moved into the house that we're in now. And he was like, I'm going to miss all my friends. And we was like, you didn't really hang out with nobody at the old house, you know, but he was used to seeing certain things and certain patterns and all of that. So when I was out of town working, I would come home every weekend, and that did make things better. But at the same time, I didn't know me coming home every weekend was a help. I just didn't want to be out of town on the weekend. I want to be home with my family. Yeah, so we ended up having to do some counseling because I was like, okay, son, you really acting up. And within 5 minutes of meeting the counselor, he said your oldest got high functioning Asperger's. And that's when we started like, okay, wait a minute, we got what? And we found a gentleman who his son is here in the area, Dr. Jacobson. His son had low functioning Asperger's. And I actually met his son, and I see the difference. And we had to pay out of pocket for him and have my son go to counseling. So he started when he was about 17 years old, and we would be in the counseling with him. And then once he turned 18, he could be in there by himself. And one of the things that we've learned is that diet affects it greatly. The healthier he eats, the better he seems to function and manages and does things. When he doesn't eat a whole lot of sugary foods, things of that nature. And the biggest thing that I had to learn as a dad was still be firm with him, but find a way to communicate with him. So instead of saying, didn't I tell you, it was, hey, I shared with you to do such and such. So
yeah, you really have to take that extra time it's almost like an extra spoonful of love. Mm-hmm. You know, before you react to anything, you have to think about, you know, is my reaction going to be a cause of a greater reaction?
Right.
And can I avoid that by handling this differently and understanding them rather than just reacting to what they're doing? You know, let me stop and say, hey, why did they do this? Instead of, why'd you do this? It's, why did you do this?
Right. And I had to figure that out. But then there was times where he would still push the envelope greatly. And then it was like, autism or not, dude, you're wrong. You're wrong. So I had to deal with him man to man, especially once he became an adult, and hold his feet to the fire and everything. So when he's focused and has the support, which he has the support from us, he can go out here and do things just like he does the notary. So he gets out here, he does notary very well. He understands it. Boom, boom, boom. But when he gets under stress, and me and my wife can tell when he's under stress, then we got to come in and step in. And, you know, he has a big thing of, you know, I want to, you know, show that I'm a man, I'm going to do my thing. And I'm like, okay, but son, part of being a man is knowing how to ask for help and taking advice from other men who you see have been successful in areas that you're trying to go into. I said, absolutely. So you see, I've been successful. Even with work and without a job, I've been able to take care of the family, and we haven't missed anything. And case in point, I lost my job in their senior year of high school.
Okay.
My youngest son was doing gymnastics. I still took him to all of his gymnastics meet, all the way out to Vegas, unemployed. So I made sure that we had everything. And I told my son, I said, you did all your golf tournaments. Everybody did everything they had to do. Y'all had a great graduation. So I've shown you that I know how to make things happen for the family. You just need to trust me and follow my lead to some degree and let me help you. So with him, it's sometimes a little difficult to get him to open up, and so sometimes we have to let his back get pushed all the way up against the wall and into the wall before he's like, okay, I need y'all help. So we're always on standby for that.
And the fact that you bring that up, like, just because a child's autistic doesn't mean that they're not different than any other child. Any regular, any normally functioning child will go through those same things where you may have to push their back into the wall, just because, especially with boys, sometimes we just get lazy and it takes us a little bit longer to get the point, and sometimes we need a good smack upside the head before we get it. And that's what makes it so difficult for, people that aren't parents of autistic children to understand, because some of the behavior, they just say, oh, well, that's just, boys being boys, or that's just, kids being kids. But it's like, no, it's really not, because when your kid understands what they're doing and the reason why they're behaving this way, my kid doesn't understand why they're behaving that way. And it's taking them longer to grasp the situation that they're in, because right now they're just in another place.
That's correct. Yeah. And I had problems with teachers, and I would tell them, I said, look, here's what's going to happen. My son is going to act like this, and then at a certain point, he's going to start doing this. When he goes that direction, I need you to contact me. Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, whatever, Mr. Griffin. And then he goes in that direction, and then they start spazzing, want to suspend him and all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, why didn't y'all call me when I told y'all? Well, okay, we didn't think you knew what you was talking about. I mean, that's what they was telling me. I'm like, I'm his parent. I'm the dad. What do you mean I didn't know what I'm talking about? I'm telling you. And every year we went through this with these teachers thinking that they knew better than any of us. Now, the one benefit, the huge benefit for us was that he never got diagnosed with autism during those elementary and middle school years. So he was forced to operate and function with all the rest of the kids in class academically.
Right.
And had he been diagnosed sooner, they would have wanted to put him on medication and things of that nature. And that would have really, I think, would have set him back. So he's functioning to where he can hold down a job, drive, have conversations, this, that, and the other. But a lot of the normal social interactions, that's where he has some difficulties with. And we've had to work with him, and we still work with him on understanding those things and understanding the concept or ideas of other people.
Yeah. And something, you mentioned that he's a notary. I bet that notary work would work really well for autistic people, because we have to stay within certain guidelines, and things have to be a certain way in order for us to perform our duties. And for autistic people, that's something that they're really good at. Once they get used to what this is supposed to be, once they have a normal, they excel at those things. So I could see being a notary being something that would work very well for someone that's autistic.
Yeah, and so far he's doing good. What you got, Mathurin?
No, I just wanted to agree with Q regarding, having, knowing exactly what they need to be doing. Because how I became, involved with someone that has autism is, with my wife. Because I'm sure when I was growing up, because I grew up in Florida, now that I'm looking back at it, there were some kids within my classroom where I could have said, now that I know what it is and what they were going through, like I could have said there's a handful of kids where I've seen where they had autism, but they probably didn't know it, or they had not been diagnosed with it.
Right.
But my thing is, I work with kids with autism. A couple of years ago, I used to manage a residential home here for a nonprofit organization. And in my personal life, now that, my brother-in-law, he lives with us. And that's who kind of really exposed me to like the true, the true aspect of dealing with someone with autism. It's one thing when you working at a job and you have to deal with it, because that's where you work, that's what you have to deal with. But when you're home and there's a family member that is, that's autistic, it just, it changed your perspective on things. Just like you were saying, I know exactly when he starts to go left, and I can address it, especially when we were out and about. So for some reason, I'm always catching him, and he knows I'm always catching him. so as soon as he start going left, I'm already looking for him. My wife, she grew up with him, so she knows all about it. When he was diagnosed, the change that happened. And I want to say he's about, I know he's going to be listening to this podcast, be like, man, you don't remember my age. He's about 27 now, 27 or 28. But one of my things is, one of the stuff that I struggle with is, I set a schedule. And that's one thing I see that he likes. He likes having certain things done in a certain way. So if I set a schedule, he will follow that schedule to the T. He's amazing at it. He's great. Every now and then, he'll have those days where he wakes up where it's very difficult for him to stay focused. And once I noticed that, or once my wife noticed that, it was like, okay, so we shutting it down. If you want to go relax, you want to go read a book, he's an avid reader, you want to go read a book, go ahead, that's fine. But he's along the line, he's high function. He's able to, he'll go to the store, he go to the library, he goes out to the movies. So if you tell him exactly what he needs to do, he will follow that schedule to the T. Some of the stuff that I struggle with is the fact that every now and then, and my wife will tell you this, I forget that he's autistic. And it's when he starting to go left, sometimes I have to catch myself getting frustrated because I'm like, I know you can do this. You have the capability of, making sure, what needs to be accomplished, you can get it done. So every now and then I have to catch myself where I'm getting frustrated. My wife would be like, hey, you do remember he's autistic, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you want to put on him, which is great. But at the same time, he's going to have those days where he's just not there.
Right.
So I've learned to adjust. So I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% there yet, so I'm not going to lie to you because, if I sit here and say I don't get frustrated, that'd be a lie because, you want them to strive. You want them to be better on a daily basis. But at the same time, you have to understand that, hey, there's certain things that is out of your control. And the good thing with us, we are big on herbs. So he's taking daily herbs. As far as the medication aspect, that's not something we do. I don't think he's ever been on any medications. Everything that we do, it's all natural supplements. So that's what helps. Good. And just like Griff was saying, we notice, when his diet changes, he's a huge health freak. This guy will be in the room, or he'll be jogging out for 2 to 3 hours nonstop, or he'll come back, he'll put a old school Billy Blank Bootcamp DVDs.
My man brought up Billy Blank. What was that, Tybo? Was that Tybo?
Yeah, Tybo.
Tybo. Look, he'll just be in the room for 3 to 4 hours just working out straight. And then we notice that when he is working out on a daily basis and he's watching his diet, he's a completely different person.
Yeah, man, they gotta get energy out. My brother, he'll go on walks. He likes to dance, and so that's one of the things that he'll do is he'll go into his room and he will dance for about an hour, and all I hear is just thumping and all this stuff, and he's just jumping around, getting energy out. But after he does that, he's relieved. It's like a release for him. And when he was in school, I've taken him out of regular in the building school. He's now doing cyber charter, and that's just the first step to homeschooling. But when he was in the building, that was one of the things that I had to make sure that was in his IEP, and I had to hold them accountable for his de-escalation methods. And whenever there was an issue, I would say, I'd I had the IEP saved in my phone, so whenever I got a phone call, and I would say, okay, well, let's review the de-escalation methods. Did you guys do this, 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 and this? And if anything was missed, then we're going to have a problem. Like I understand, and a lot of times I was getting phone calls, hey, you got to come pick them up. And I'd be like, okay, well, how did we get here? So on my drive there, while I'm on my way, you need to explain to me how we got to here. Why is my brother walking down the interstate right now? Why did he leave the school? How is this allowed to happen?
Exactly. And then I feel like that's, if that kind of goes back to what Griff was saying regarding, how the teachers at the school does not listen, or they feel like, you as a parent doesn't know what you were talking about, and I feel like that is disrespectful, especially with someone who lives with the person who has autism. And if we are giving you the guideline, hey, this is how we want you to deal with it, especially if you're saying, hey, give me a call if you notice that he's going left, and they're choosing not to do that. And I feel like that's negligence on their part. I know they are teachers, but at times they can be miseducated on how to properly handle someone with autism.
And that's society as a whole. Like one of the things that I try to make people aware of is when you're dealing with people that have mental disabilities, and if they're in a mode, if they're in a role, do not call 911. You need to call one of the facilities that are close, because they know how to handle that. And if you call 911, they're going to perceive a threat a lot differently than somebody that's coming from a mental facility.
Yes.
Yeah, that is 1,000% correct.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
so that I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I don't know if you guys remember the incident that took place a couple years ago where the guy was autistic and the police ended up shooting him because he said that he was not listening to his.
That was right here in Philly. Well, there was a similar incident right here in Philly. Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, so it's just like you were saying, Q, make sure that we are contacting someone that knows how to deal with someone with autism, because they will perceive the threat differently.
Absolutely. I think where a lot of autistic parents, like it's hard, man. Like, and I've for the single moms that are out there, because I know there's a lot of single mothers out there that have autistic children. I'm a single dad.
Yes.
That's dealing with one autistic teenager. It's tough. It's draining, and at times, you can feel like you're all alone on this island, to be, left to be almost someone's punching bag. And as much as you want to kick them off the island, you can't. Because there's no raft out there. They're just going to drown out there in a sea of people that don't understand them. And at the end of the day, and that's where that spoonful of love comes in, you have to be that person that's going to take the time to understand them. No matter how many times you might have to force them to understand the situation, you still have to love them enough to do that for them.
Yeah, no, you're right. And one of the things that I had to do is I have to talk to him logically and make him think.
Yeah.
When I get him to think and explain it to him, then things change, because a lot of times he'll operate out of emotions or just, and sometimes it's not even emotions. It's just more just being selfish. Like, I just want to do this. And I'm like,
right.
Okay, but did you think about these things here? Oh, you didn't? Well, you need to, just like now while we were sitting here, I had meant to hit him up earlier, because he has his own printer and all that stuff. So I just double check with him. Do you need any notary supplies? Make sure
right.
he has that, because, he's not making a ton of money off of notary right now. So I still buy stuff for him. And if I have paper and all of that kind of stuff, I check with him. Do you need to have that? Excuse me. So, now the other aspect, and you probably, well, you might have dealt with him when your mom was alive, making sure that he respects the ladies.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a problem, but a lot of his emotions were only geared towards my mom. And that's, there's a long history there that doesn't need to be discussed
Right.
here on the podcast. But, he had a lot of his emotional outbursts had to do with my mom. And so, yeah, it was very tough, especially being in that situation of, all right, I'm big brother. Some of the things that are coming out of his mouth, uh, the way that he's treating my mother right now, if it was anybody else, it's a wrap, lights out. You ride for mama.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's this little boy and I got 21 years on him,
right,
like he's getting the biggest pass of a lifetime.
Yeah.
With the things that are escaping his mouth right now, and he just don't understand.
right.
Yeah, that's what make it, that's what make it difficult, because I've, just like with my brother-in-law, it's just like a lot of his emotion is toward his mother, and then for a long time, I didn't quite understand it until one day I sat down with my wife and she explained to me like their upbringing, which kind of makes sense now, but it's when he used to speak about her, growing up. Look, I grew up with my parents and stuff like that, and like I get frustrated when I hear somebody talking about their parents. Like it's like they your parents, you got to show them respect at all time. But over time, knowing the background, how things were, when he was growing up, because prior to him living with us, that's who he was staying with, because they are from Philly, so that's who he was staying with, and then we made the decision to go and pick him up, and he's been living with us ever since. A great addition to the family, and one of the stuff that when we do go out, because if you don't know him, he doesn't appear like someone who has a disability. So he's a regular guy. So like every now and then I will catch people looking at him weird, and I'm like, yo, what's up? like, man,
yeah, you gotta let him know.
Get your act together. Yeah, I'm like, you better get your act together before I put my hands on you and stuff like that. Stuff like that, because he appears as this natural. He's fit, like he's outgoing, but when he starts to go left, where he doesn't understand certain, like the social cues. Right. For example, there was a few months ago we went to a skating ring, and he was getting close to people. I'm like, hey, back up. He was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just in line. I'm like, I understand. Like, I know you because I live with you, obviously. But certain people, to them, you don't appear as someone who has a mental issue, like who has a disability.
Right.
So to them, they might be like, okay, this guy is being weird. Why is he getting so close to me? Why is he dancing? Why is he doing all this movement? I'm like, to them, they don't know you. And again, I'm not trying to put my hands on anybody here in the skating ring, but so stuff like that, I've become more aware of. When I'm out and about with him, I'll just have a talk with him. Hey, we're going there. This is what we're doing. If you feel a certain way, just let me know. So let's communicate.
Yeah, we do the same. I have to do the same thing with my brother, and you're right. Being out in public, it's stressful. Because you don't want your loved one, your child, whatever, feeling like anybody is treating them unfairly because of who they are. And so, it's our job. At least I take it as my personal responsibility to make sure that my brother gets all the respect that he is due. Nobody treats him any less than they would treat me.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. And I have the opposite, where he wouldn't act up out in public. We could go out in public, no issues whatsoever. But when we got home, that's where the difficulties were. And how he deals with stuff at the house, it's like, okay, it was like he didn't want to follow instructions, all of that. And it was weird because my youngest son would be chilled at home, but he would act up when we would be out. And so I told him both of them one day, I said, look, I said, when you're home, I said, act like your brother, okay? He's chill at home. I need you to chill at home. And then I tell Solomon, when you're out, how your brother's sitting here chill, he don't act up when we go out, you act like him when you're out. I said, follow each other's lead. You follow your younger brother when you're at home, and then follow your older brother when you're out. And I said, me and Mom will be happy. So we never really had any major problems with our oldest unless he got hungry. So if he got hungry or he was used to us doing things a certain way on the weekend or whatever, and we changed our pattern a little bit, then we might get a little, it's like, okay, all of a sudden he got this attitude and everything. And even when we was in high school, in his mind, he felt that he should have been driving. So as long as he was driving, he was cool. He was cool. And it's certain things that he feels like I need to have this, or this is where I need to be at in my life. And until he gets it, he can be very, very difficult. But once he gets it, everything's cool. And like with your wife's brother, yeah, my son, he used to get up in high school at 3:00 in the morning and work out using P90X 1, 2, and 3.
Oh man.
Yeah, he will. Crazy. I mean, and to this day, he still works out. He works out. Sometimes he'll work out 2-3 times a day. He loves working out and all of that. So, yeah. But the main thing we had to do was find a way to let him know we're still the parents. We will always be the parents. And just because you're grown doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want, because in life, it doesn't work that way. You have to learn to operate within the confines of the system that you're in and around the people that you're in, and respect everybody and be conscious of everybody. So he's gotten way better at doing it. He's operating fine. But he still has a ways to go, and it's not something like, you can't just be like, okay, good. Just because he's acting cool for 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. No, I don't.
You got to always keep your eye on him. Always. And I used to tell him, I said, I might not be saying nothing, but I am watching.
All the time.
Yep.
All the time.
He hates me. He does not like when I said, just because I ain't saying nothing don't mean I'm not watching. I said, I'm watching your patterns. I'm watching what you do. And I would tell him, I said, is there anything that you need to tell me and Mom? Because something, I can feel it in my gut. And I said, you're up to something. There's something going on. I said, now, if you don't want to tell us, don't worry. We're going to find out, but you'd be better off letting us know. So this is what we used to tell him when in high school. And he would sit there thinking, oh, no, I ain't going to worry. And then all of a sudden, the light bulb clicked. I'm like, wait a minute, this plus that square rooted by 5. You know what? Hell, man, come here. Let's have a talk. And he's like, how did you figure? Yeah, I figured it out. And this is what's going on.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah, it's always like that. It's crazy how, your, like, what you guys go through is pretty much the same thing that I go through.
I know.
We just sit back and just watching, observing what they are doing. And, what I do is I will try to, just meet up with him throughout the week. Or, maybe like on a Friday, I'll check in. Hey, this is what I noticed this week versus last week. Just let me know where you're at, what you think, what's bothering you. Because we need to have this type of conversation. We can't just avoid the conversation because we feel like, okay, they're autistic, they are not going to understand what we're saying. Like, it doesn't matter if we have to be on repeat, because if this is the person that we are responsible for, then it is our responsibility, our duties to make sure that we are doing everything in our power, even when we do get frustrated. We have to understand, hey, this is who they are. This is who they're going to be for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So we have to adjust our attitude and do our absolute best and to find a common ground and how to deal with it. And again, like, I struggle with it. Like, I'm not, again, so I'm not going to lie. Like, I do struggle at times because, because you see, I believe, like, I see the potential.
Right.
I always wonder, okay, so what if he was not like that? Because I see the potential. He's extremely smart. he reads, like he can tell you about different animals like I've never heard of them. Like he was like, oh, this type of bird, this is this type. I'm like, look, how you even know this stuff? But he picks up on so many different things. Then I think it's because I see how he is and how the potential is there. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, just like Griff said, you might be good for a few days, then they kind of take a step back.
Right.
Like, how do you deal with that?
There's only one way to deal with it. The same way that you dealt with the last time. If you dealt with it the right time the last time. If you didn't deal with it the right way the last time, then you have to do better. And my situation might be a little bit differently. Well, it's really not that much different, except you guys have adults. I'm dealing with an adolescent. All I can say is, I'm very thankful for the relationship that I have with my brother. I'm very thankful for everything that we've been through, even though it's been one wild year of ups and downs and trips to hospitals and police and so many other things that have happened throughout the year. But what it's been is a true test of character, a test of my will as a person. And you asked me a question, I'm going to answer it. I just set the expectation, and every day the expectation is the same. It doesn't change. I don't move the goalpost on him. I set a very clear expectation, and we discussed it, and I just reinforce it every day. If he exceeds the expectations, he's rewarded. If he doesn't meet the expectations, he's encouraged. And those are the boundaries. I'm not going to put him down or come down on him. I'm not going to be one of those parents or anything like that. But I just set very clear expectations, and I remind him, hey, this is where we are. You know that this is what's expected of you. So if we're not going to get here today, that's cool. Let's not go back any further or go down a hole and kind of go down the wrong direction. If this is as great as it's going to be today, I'm perfectly fine with that, because it could be worse. So that's a success. I celebrate the small wins. I'm that type of person. I just celebrate small wins like that. Hey, I brushed my teeth this morning, within 5 minutes of me getting up. That's great. That I like the small wins. That's something that I look at with him. I look at that with my children. I look at it with myself, with my business. I celebrate and acknowledge every single small win. But really, having to kind of go within yourself and understand somebody else and what they're going through, and it's natural for us to just want to react with things, and and we're in a position of authority, as a parent or as an older brother or brother-in-law. We see things from a whole different world, and it takes a special kind of person to stop and think before they react to things. To take somebody else's feelings and mental state into consideration. And so, having to do that with my own brother, it allows me to do that with people that I encountered. It allows me to do that with signers when I walk into a signing situation, because I'm so good at observing somebody that needs to be observed that I can observe somebody else that's perfectly fine and have a better understanding of the situation that I'm in. Griff always talks about reading the room. When you're dealing with somebody that's autistic, you read the entire house, not just the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is correct.
So that's how I deal with it. And, I just wanted to, I think we all kind of wanted to share our experiences with this topic, especially because it's something that the three of us are experiencing on a daily basis, and it's not going anywhere for us. I think that's what kind of brought this our friendships a lot closer, because we are experiencing some similar things. We deal with autism. We've got the notary business. We're dealing with all the foolishness on social media and all this other stuff, right? But do either one of you have anything else on this topic before we go to a break?
No, the only thing that I will say is, if you guys do not have this book, I remember when I was down in Georgia a few years ago, and I went to this herbal store, and the owner of the herbal store had recommended this book. It's called Nature's Sunshine Product. It's by Stephen Horn and Kimberly Bell. It's the 6th edition. So this pretty much just gave you different type of, as far as like condition, diagnose, like what are some herbs that can, help on a daily basis. So, I highly recommend this book. It has, as far as like autism, it has every different, diagnose or mental illness that you can, deal with, but it gives you like the reason why, why someone might be diagnosed, and some of the herbal supplement that they can take on a regular basis to help with it. So I highly recommend that book.
All right, and Mathurin, real quick for the listeners, if they would like to reach out to you to ask you what the name of that book is again, because some folks are driving right now, where can they find you on Instagram?
They can find me on Instagram at Mathurin Notary, so at MATHURINNOTARY at Mathurin Notary. That's where you can find me, and then I'll be happy to provide you with this book information.
All right, that's an open invitation to discuss the book and all things notary and anything else that we talk about on this podcast, but nothing else. Okay, keep it there. Griff, you got anything before we hit the break?
Oh man, I can't speak from a female's perspective, but from a dash perspective, a male's perspective, you gotta just find a way to communicate and recognize when they're not hearing you, and then tweak and adjust and find a way to get them to hear you. And sometimes I had to actually ask him, what is it that I'm doing wrong that's making you not listen to me? And what is it that you're feeling? What is, help me out, because I'm sharing something with you and you're not responding. And he will say, well, because of the way you're saying it this way, that way, the other. And my pride would be like, it doesn't matter because I'm telling you the truth, right? So I said, okay, gotcha. And this is how I would get them. I'm like, okay, well, I've communicated to you in the manner in which you want it. So why are you not doing what I'm asking? Especially if if what I'm saying is correct. So you just got to stay open-minded and vigilant to find out what's the best way to communicate with them. And then sometimes it's not even you saying anything. It's just you still just finding a way to be there for them when they need you to be there for them. And then sometimes you got to recognize, okay, he needs me to be here for him. What's going on, man? Talk to me.
Absolutely. And that's autism and non-autistic as well. We have to have that ability, if you're a caring person, you're open up, to the people around you, take the time to be there for your friends and your family. If you see it, if you feel it, just reach out, because autism is a problem, but so is depression as well. There's a lot of people walking around today that are in a depressive state and they're not getting help. They're not talking to anybody about it. But if you care about somebody and you love them, just, hey, be there for them. All right. So that was a great segment, everybody. I'm so happy that we actually got a chance to do that. But we'll be right back. See you soon.
The Notary Success System is the notary industry leading face-to-face loan closing training on the market. You are actually conducting a mock loan closing with a full set of loan closing documents. At the end of the training, you will have the confidence to conduct any loan closing you are assigned. Go to notarysuccesssystem.com and choose your date and time. Peace.
www.captivatednotarystore.com.
It's Captivated, baby.
Yep, that's the name that we go by when we let the post fly.
It's Captivated, baby.
We got hoodies and tees for all your notary needs. Know what I'm talking about.
It's Captivated, baby.
Nobody does it like me, so it's best to believe when you see it.
It's Captivated, baby.
Yeah, we do this. We got the newness. Just don't forget.
It's Captivated, baby.
Q.
The Notary Supremo, T-shirt ad sounding just like a demo. Podcast on blast, shout out to our demo. Graph how I laugh with my foot on this pedal. Somehow I lost my mind. Have you seen all these designs? And I sell them things cheap, $24.99. What's your name? What's your size? Forget it, never mind. The Captivated store, or to pay another time. A notary that rhymes, yes, that's him, lady. Commission with these writtens, I've been spitting crazy. Witness all the ways we give it, all we say that we do. It's true.
It's
Guess
Captivated, baby.
www.captivatednotarystore.com.
It's Captivated, baby.
Witness all the ways we give it, all we say that we do. It's true.
It's Captivated, baby.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Notaries Unsealed podcast. Hopefully we weren't gone too long for you. I think it was a lot longer for us because we actually took a break and you guys just heard like a minute of commercials. But welcome back to the second half of the podcast. So next thing that we're going to talk about is I've asked the guys to share two things with us, and I'm going to share as well. What we're going to be sharing is the first thing is a book that inspired us or changed our lives, and the second thing is a song that did the same. Right? I think this is a really cool conversation, just to kind of see some of those things that have been influential on who we are as people. As you know, with music is the language of the soul. So you know, the type of music that people listen to, even if you don't listen to music or like a lot of music, like my son doesn't listen, he doesn't like music that has words in it, but he'll listen to jazz, he'll listen to anything that doesn't have words. He just doesn't want to hear anybody rap or sing, which, I mean, today, judging by what these kids are listening to when it comes to rap, I don't even blame them. So I'm going to go first when it comes to books. So the one book that always stands out in my mind, and I've shared it with a customer of mine from Captivated, and I always seem to give this book out to young adults that are hitting their teenage years, is The Alchemist. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This book really changed my life. It's a metaphysical book, which is another genre of literature that's out there that's really good. It's more about spirituality and understanding of self. And I found this book when I was sick in the hospital. For a lot of you that don't know, I have a lung disease called aspergillus. And I spent about a year in the hospital, and I did a lot of reading during that time. And it was during that time that I found this book, and there was 2 paragraphs. I'm going to take, a couple seconds. I think I read right or read well. Maybe I wasn't educated with public school system. Anyway, I'm going to take a second and read a passage of this, because this is what really kind of turned the way that I saw things in a time where I was at probably my lowest. And just bear with me with this, and I hope you guys listen. I'll talk about it. And, if you want to ask me any questions or kind of chime in on this little lesson here, please feel free to do so. All right, so it goes on and says, I wanted to sleep a little longer, he thought. He had the same dream that night as a week ago, and once again he had awakened before it ended. He arose and, taking up his crook, began to awaken the sheep that still slept. He had noticed that as soon as he awoke, most of his animals also began to stir. It was as if some mysterious energy bound his life, that of the sheep with whom he had spent the past 2 years, leading them through the countryside in search of food and water. "They are so used to me that they know my schedule," he muttered. Thinking about that for a moment, he realized that it could be the other way around, that it was he who had become accustomed to their schedule. So the reason why I read that is because in the beginning of The Alchemist, and this is, I think, on page 2 of the actual story, he's talking about his relationship with this sheep. So obviously he's a shepherd, and he's discussing the relationship that he has with them, from him following them or them following him, and how, he was relaying them to his friends, because as a shepherd during this time, this is not a modern book. This is, staged somewhere in Arabia or something like that. So the sheep were being related to as his friends, and at a time when I was in my desperation, in a desperation moment of life or death, like literally,
I started looking around at, the things that I had been involved with, the being popular and all those other things. And I started to look at things from a different perspective. And it's from this book that it really taught me to take a step back and look at situations from multiple different perspectives. And that's been a lifelong lesson that, I have to be very thankful for this book, because this book has allowed me to give guidance to my own life in understanding, what I'm experiencing and what I'm going through on a daily basis, and it was with this foundation of, understanding the story of a person going through and really finding out who they are by understanding the roles that they played in the world and being real about themselves with, everybody else's experience, including his, and understanding, how to navigate through things to get to his peacefulness. Have you guys ever heard of the book, The Alchemist?
Yes, I have heard of the book. I can't remember if I read it yet, but I definitely heard of it. A couple of people that I've been within my circle have read it, and they had nothing but great thing to say about that book.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I know I haven't read it.
All right. Well, I will highly suggest everybody to go check it out, especially for young adults. It's one of those coming of age books. I think I've purchased probably like 20 something copies of this book and just given them out as gifts. I think it's a great gift for a young adult. Highly suggest it. Mathurin, what do you got for me?
Oh man, look. One of the book that I want to say maybe in the past 5 to 6 years. I think it was like probably right after I graduated high school. It was, and I've mentioned it throughout the Mathurin Business Insight. It's Outwitting the Devil, The Secret to Freedom and Success by Napoleon Hill.
And you did mention that.
I remember when I came across that book, it was at a very difficult time for me. Right after I graduated, I thought I had everything in place, what I wanted to do, as far as I wanted to go play football, play college ball, but things didn't work out. I got injured, and then pretty much some of the school that I was looking at, it just didn't work out. So I had to figure out what is it that I wanted to do. What is there now that I can't play ball, or I don't have the opportunity at that time? So now do I just sit back and be like everybody else, just wasting time, just, not doing absolutely anything productive?
Right.
So then I came across this book after I read The Secret. And that book, I want to say I've read it. Now, I can't remember like how many times I've read this book, and I've always recommend it. So this book pretty much breaks down the conversation between Napoleon and the devil, pretty much how the devil gain control of people. Like his job is pretty much to stop you from achieving your goals, because a lot of people cannot, one of the things that stuck out to me, right? A lot of people, they say they want to do something, but they do not put the time and effort. They do not stay consistent at it. And there was this page, I'm just going to read like a quote from it, because the devil was saying that it started since they were a kid, because everybody's being programmed to think a certain way. So that's how he's able to manipulate and gain control of those. And it says that in regard to children, he said, children are sent to school to make credits and to learn how to memorize, not to learn what they want of life. So from there, he is able to tap into your subconscious. He's able to manipulate and pretty much, have you do what he wants to do, what he wants you to do. So it's a difference between drifting and the drifter and the non-drifter. The non-drifter cannot be controlled because they are focused. They have a plan. They are determined to achieve their goal. The drifter, they have no idea what they're doing. They're just going along with, what life is throwing at them. They are not consistent. They are not doing anything to educate themselves. And so it kind of gives you a breakdown of, you have the potential to be successful. You have the potential to be successful. However, you are allowing yourself not to reach your goal because you do not want to take action.
So, what happened with your football injury?
Oh man, the school that I went to, we had all the talent in the world. We had the talent to dominate, but
Florida football. Let's get it.
Like I remember, like in high school, the O line, we had O line like 6'6", 370, 380 pounds. We had a lot of talent, but we didn't have the collective mindset, like to play as a group. Everybody wanted to be the star. That was the problem. And like I said, so looking back at the team that we had, we could dominate our area. We had some successful season and we had some bad one, but we could definitely dominate if everyone had the same mindset, which was, hey, you know what? Let's get to the championship game. Let's work as a team. It's Florida. Football is hyped up. Everybody wants to be the star. Everybody wants to be the guy everybody's talking about. Just nonsense. We could have definitely went. We could have definitely been one of the great team, but just happened.
You said you got hurt though, and things kind of changed. Can you tell the audience, tell us, because I haven't even heard this before. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, back and I want to say it started back in the 6th grade. I had like knee surgeries. At first, the doctor had said that I will never play football again, or even possibly even walk, because I had 4 knee surgeries, 2 on each knee. I don't remember what they say it was, but throughout middle school years, high school, I was playing ball, I was doing well. And then I remember in high school, I got injured because I played center and left guard. So I injured my left shoulder.
Gotcha.
And then, I was talking to a couple colleges, even though I was not highly recruited. But, I was reaching out to colleges. I was speaking to coaches. And it just, it just didn't happen. Like, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And then a couple of years later, and my brother and I was visiting school. We went to Virginia. We went to North Carolina. And I believe there was this guy, I forgot his name, from North Carolina who reached out to me. He was a coach, and he wanted me to come out there and play. But it had been maybe 2 to 3 years since I graduated high school, and a lot of stuff was happening. We had a lot of family issues. At one point, I lost my job, and then it was just not the right timing.
So when you got hurt, and I'm asking these questions because I have a very similar story. When it comes to high school athletics, how much were you putting on your future of, like, your overall future? How much of it were you putting on football at the time?
At that time, like, my goal was to just go to a college and play, and that was my main thing. That's what I was focusing on. So pretty much at that time, my future was, hey, I want to go play college ball, whether it's D1 or D2, whatever. I just want to just leave where I'm at in my area because I did not want to stay there. There's nothing wrong with it, but, a lot of people get caught up right after high school. Those who could have left but end up staying, but they get trapped in the same cycle. And that's something I was trying to avoid. And The one way I was trying to avoid that is to go away, to, go out of state, play ball, because that's what I enjoy doing. But when that didn't happen, it took me a while to accept it. Like, I'm not going to lie. It took me a while to accept it. I was reaching out to schools. I was visiting schools. Yeah. And then I remember I got to a point I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, I have to accept that life goes on.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. As I mentioned, I had gone through a period where I was extremely sick. I was on high dosages of a steroid called prednisone. I'm sure it's very common nowadays. I was on extremely high dosages of it, and because of it, they had warned me that it was going to weaken my bones. So after I had gotten myself better, and started playing basketball competitively again. I came up to Pennsylvania. I was playing ball at a prep school up here, and then once I got to my junior year, I started to see and feel what they were talking about with the weak bones, because I had actually had 2 knee injuries prior to coming up here to Pennsylvania. I was playing in an all-star game, and I got undercut going up for a layup, and I fell on both of my kneecaps, and I cracked my kneecaps in half.
Damn, that's tough.
Well, they weren't, like completely in half, but the patella was cracked on both of them. And I didn't let it heal properly because I was trying to get to Pennsylvania to play ball. So I took a little bit of time off, but not as much as I probably should have been allowed to, because of everything that was riding on me getting out of my situation that I was in. Because like you were trying to do for college, I was trying to do the same thing in high school, was trying to get out of where I was to get to a better situation, to have better opportunities. And man, my life was devastated when I had to make that decision of if I was going to continue to play basketball or not. The doctors pretty much said, if you're going to continue to play ball, you're not going to be able to walk when you get older, and you could do severe damage to your bones. So I had to make that decision to stop playing ball, man, and I was just done. Like, I struggled so much my junior year just because I then had to figure out, okay, what's next? And unfortunately, I didn't have a father figure or anything like that to kind of give me some direction. So I was like just really floundering out there because, the whole reason we came up here to Pennsylvania was for me to play ball. But before that, I lived in Alexandria, Virginia, right? I'm from the DMV. I grew up in Oxon Hill, PG County. So it was a very scary time for me at that point, because I just didn't know what I was going to do. So that book, Outwitting the Devil, how did that keep you focused once you saw that, football was not going to be in your immediate future?
And that just, to be honest with you, that just helped me. Like I said, I was going through a lot within that year that I discovered the book. So that just helped me stay grounded, and it kind of helped me put a plan together. Then what else is out there that I could be doing? I had to realize what success meant to me. I know, where I grew up, I enjoyed playing football, and I was hoping that I could go to college and play football as well. But now it's like, okay, you had your entire life to live. Like, let's find out what is it that makes you happy. What do you want to do? So let's start writing down these life goals. Do you want to have a family? So if you want to have a family, you have to be prepared for a family. What other option do you have? Do you want to go to school? Do you want to learn a trade? So that book really helped me out. And still this day, if I'm going through, a difficult time, I'll just go back to this book. I'll just read through it. And especially if I feel like I am getting off track, it kind of helped me stay focused.
No, that's awesome, man. Well, it sounds like, we both found books at pivotal moments in our lives that helped us down the road. Griff, quiet over there, man.
Yeah. No, I know I played football myself. I was a little guy playing football, only 180 pounds, playing right guard.
So, they was crazy having you out there.
Yeah, 5'10", 180 pounds, playing right guard. I was not the biggest guy, but I was fast. So I was the guy they used for sweeps and things of that nature. But man, yeah. And they was trying to get me to go for college. I was like, nah, I'm good. I didn't even want to go to college. And they was like, well, we can take you and make you a safety. I'm like, y'all know I'm the slowest guy out here. I don't believe in running. It's like, even here at the house, I don't even like treadmills. I said, that's too much running. I use an elliptical. I'm like, So, but yeah, for me, I didn't really grow up doing a whole lot of reading. I'm more of a documentary person, but as I got, into adulthood, I started getting into reading books like, from John Maxwell, leadership books, things of that nature, trying to understand
Definitely.
what it takes to move forward, move an organization forward, things of that nature. So there's a ton of books that, I really like, I really love. But by far my favorite one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And
I've heard of that book.
yeah, that one, the listening, I happen to catch there's a show, I can't remember the guy's name, but the program is called London Real. London Real. And this guy, he's trying to do stuff over there in England. And he does a lot of interviews with famous people, asking them, about their life and how they became successful and things of that nature. So he had this guy, James Clear, up there talking about habits, atomic habits. And he was talking about how it's little small things you do that leads into big success. And I identify with that because I always thought about, I always ran my businesses as, okay, I'm going to start where I'm at and then move it up to the next level. I wasn't, I knew and I learned that you don't just start a business and then just bust out and then you're just sitting up here in the Taj Mahal doing your stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
and like, I have the notary success system. A lot of people, may throw shade at me because I do it out of my wife's salon. But what y'all got to realize is simply
Nah,
this.
never that.
Yeah. See, you got to realize if you can be disciplined and give somebody what they need where you're at outside of the fancy conference room and all of that, then you'll do great when you get in the fancy conference room.
Yep.
And see, a lot of people hop over there into the fanciness and they like, oh yeah, I got this cool place. It's all air conditioned, which our place is air conditioned, but it got all the screens on the walls and this and that. And okay, well, what happens if the power goes out there and you got to do it in your garage? What happens is for a lot of people, they themselves, the business owner, can't handle the venue. They can't handle because they've set their identity based on how fancy stuff is.
Right.
So what I'm leading to is it's the goals versus the system, because that's what James Clear talks about. If you have the proper systems in place, you'll achieve your goal. But a lot of people just have the goal of, let's just use for the notary in this instance, trying to run a training company. They got the goal of, I want to teach and I don't want to be out there in the streets doing notarization. So I'm going to teach. But they really don't have a system in place to support it when things go awry.
Right.
So what I'm doing with my business is creating a system. That's why part of my business, but my business name is what? Notary Success System. So that, excuse me, so that no matter what, I can still do what I need to do no matter what the environment is. So like out of the book here, in chapter 1, page 23, he simply says this here: what's the difference between systems and goals? It's a distinction I first learned from Adam Scott, the cartoonist behind the Dilbert comic. And Adam Scott said simply this: goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the process that leads to those results.
Absolutely.
So if you have the proper system in place, it doesn't matter the venue that you're in. But when you don't have a system in place and you're just worried about the goal, if the goal is everybody ooh and ah over my venue, everybody ooh and ah over the fact that my stuff looks fancy, well, if things change just a little bit and you have to use a different venue that doesn't have the screen for you to put PowerPoint on, that you have to use pen and paper instead of a computer and all of that, can you function?
Right.
And that's what I had to learn way back when I started getting into business. I had to learn to function no matter what the environment is. But in order to be able to function, you got to have a system in place. And a lot of people don't understand the importance of a system, because with that system, when you have that system, you're unshakable. You are truly unshakable. In other words, when you understand, and people brag about this all the time, talking about, well, once you know how to make $1 million, it's easy to make that, and you'll know, and it just moves you into making, 5 million and 10 million. Well, before you could ever get to $1 million, you got to have a system in place to handle the $10, the 200, the 5,000, the 20,000. And that's why I keep telling notaries, if you can't have a system in place where you're just working off of the $60 orders, you're not going to be able to manage the money that you're making when you're getting 35, 40, 50 orders a month off of 200, because you don't know how to handle that level of money coming in. So you got to have a system in place. And when you do, man, it makes things so much better, and you don't get thrown off because things aren't working. So if somebody doesn't sign up for the Notary Success System, okay, cool. I got a system in place that when they do, I'm ready to rock and roll. But if you don't have a system in place and all you're about is a monthly goal of having so many heads come through your program, and when those heads don't come through, you get frazzled, and then all of a sudden 5 people come and you're like, whoa. And now you're trying to run. But at any point in time, I'm ready to rock and roll. That's why I like this book so much. Atomic Habits, developing the proper habits so that you have systems that can move you forward. And even in the book, he says, if you have the proper systems, you don't even have to have goals, because you'll still accomplish them. In other words, if you're trying to become, you don't have to have the goal of winning a championship, but if you have the right systems in place for his practice, for his, how you operate, those systems will move you into a position to where you can win the championship. And
Correct.
That's what's important.
It's the recipe for success.
Correct.
And you're absolutely right, especially when it comes to training, man. I mean, I remember as a trainer for the hospitals, we would have our training rooms, but then, you would get a call last minute like, hey, such and such head of the Department of Orthopedics can't make it to the classroom. Can you go to his office and train his entire staff? And yeah, your day's gonna have to be extended, and you're gonna have to go there at 5:30 in the evening after you're tired. You've worked a full day, but that's when they can accommodate you. Can you go to this place that in this office that's smaller than my house and train this class? After everybody's tired, everybody's upset that they have to stay later, but the training has to get done. Well, guess what? I had a system. It doesn't matter where you could put me in a cafeteria and they're still going to get the information that they need, because there was a system to the way that I trained my courses to make sure that everybody got what they were supposed to get.
Right. And that's the important part, and, like I had a photography business, and I had to do pictures out of my house. I had to do pictures at customers' houses sometime, because I didn't have a studio. I had to do pictures out of a hotel, different places, and I learned to make it work. But what made it all happen was that I had a system. And even with the notary stuff, no matter how last minute a signing that I get, I'm able to get the stuff done and get it done correctly within a reasonable amount of time, because I have a system in place that when I get there, I follow this system, boom, boom, boom. The goal is, yes, to get everything done, stamped and all of that. But if I follow my system, everything will get stamped, signed, dated correctly.
Correct.
But you got to have a system, and you can't, and that's why people, the only goal that I put together for myself is a dollar amount that I want to make. But in order to make that dollar amount, I have a system in place that I'm going to take orders. I'm going to do these orders, and I'm going to do them well. And then next thing you know, things just start flowing, because once people see that you can get it done, they may not know your system, but they know that you got it going. Other opportunities will come that you won't even realize that's there. And next thing you know, you're making the money and then some than what you thought you was. But Yeah, you got to have a system in place. And if they have that, audience, I'm telling y'all will see a huge difference. And lastly, let me throw this in there. When you have a system in place, it will make you question information that's coming from other people. Because when you have a system and somebody starts telling you, this is how you're supposed to run your business, this is what you need to focus on, this is what you need to do, and you know that you have a system in place, the first thing you're going to say is, what you're telling me interferes with the system that I have.
Right.
But if they tell you something that can enhance your system, you'll immediately know. So you will know when you have a system, you will know whether or not the information that they're sharing with you is even any good, or they just talking out the side of their neck.
You're right, man. You're 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we even have a podcast for the system. We even have a system for this podcast. You know, I have a system to the way I edit. You know, to get this thing done within 24 hours. You know,
Right.
Systems are extremely important. So, gentlemen, thank you for sharing. You know, I think that's it's like pulling teeth trying to get these guys to come up with something, man.
Oh man. Not all of us as creative, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, man, don't take shots. Mathurin, I'm gonna go to you because you was like, oh man, no, I'm gonna just see what comes out, and I know you're probably gonna see if Griff was gonna go first, if I was gonna go first. Nope. Give us a song, man. Give us a song.
A song. Jeez, I guess I want to say maybe two song. The Isley Brothers. For the Love of You. I think it was like from the Heat Is On album.
Bro, you're trying to like gain more fans here.
And another song I would say, you know, cause look, the music that they have nowadays, I'm not a fan of them. You know, I'm not. You know, that's just the honest truth. And then another song I would say probably kind of helped me, if you know, a long time ago, was the same song, same guy, Busted. I don't know if you guys remember that song that he made, Busted. That's because I was going through a situation with a former partner a long time ago.
Busted. Hold on, tell us about this song, man. I never heard of Busted.
Oh, you know, Busted is, he pretty much caught the girl that he was with cheating. You know, she was, you know, look, I know you guys have to hear.
Oh, you talking about I Saw You Walking in the Rain?
No, with the.
Oh, that's my jam too.
It's an older song. I won't say probably came out in the early 2000s. And then so, you know, she was doing a lot of shopping and stuff like that, just lying to him, and then he found out that's because she's been creeping around. And, you know, I take that song because it kind of remind me of a situation I was going through, maybe like right after I graduated high school, and that was probably like that one song that stuck out to me. You know, unfortunately, you know, stuff happened, you know, in relationship, and then For the Love of You. For the Love of You is just a classic song, man. It's a classic song, you know. So if I know I went old school. Like I said, I don't like the new songs, the new artists. I feel like they trash. So that's where I'm at with the two songs right now. And then, you know what? I'm not even gonna bring up the other one, so we're just gonna keep it like that.
Yeah. Come on, we're trying to keep this thing PG. Griff, what you got for us, man?
Well,
Griff don't listen to music.
I really don't nowadays. I really don't. I'm listening
man.
to.
It's gotta be something from when you was a kid.
Yeah, from a child. Yeah, it was. Well, back then it was about, you know, trying to find a song that you can impress the ladies with. So like one of them was Freddie Jackson, "You Are My Lady."
That's my jam right there. I might have a kid because of that song.
I know I already got it queued up, man. I already got it queued up to listen to again, you know. Lionel Richie's Suddenly.
I think I've heard that before.
Oh yeah, Suddenly Life Has New Meaning to Me.
I think I heard it.
Oh man, that was the jam there. Yeah, any song that was, more of like a ballad, because see, I used to go to the skating rink. So a lot of the guys didn't know how to skate backwards, and I did. So if you knew, when them ballads come on, you go out there and grab the girl up and be skating backwards with them, because the girls like to skate on those songs. And all the hardcore dudes, they was good for forward skating, sliding, dancing, back flipping, and all that, but they couldn't skate slow backwards with the ladies and stuff. So that's what I used to do.
Smooth operator.
So Griff was on the so Griff was out there with the Jerry curls, huh?
Griff was like, I'm gonna roll into your heart.
I had a shag, man. I had a little ducktail shag in the back. Yeah, and see, back then I had a mustache. I didn't have the beard, but I had the mustache, and all the other guys didn't have it. So I was looking like, when I was 12, I was looking like I was 17, and I didn't tell nobody no different.
Nope, of course, just go along with it.
So I was bigger than the other kids. Had a full mustache. Had a little hair on the chest. Man, I ain't tell nobody nothing. So. Any of those slow jam songs back then, that was my thing. And then for a more upbeat, one of my favorite songs is Firecracker and everything. And of course y'all know Party People.
Yeah.
That's where I get my Party People from. For those of y'all who don't understand, Party People is Africa Boo Bostic, and that's where it comes from. So back in the day when rap was first coming along with Kool Herc and all Kool Mo D and all of those guys, that's where that comes from, Party People. So it's not about people just dancing around behind you and stuff, but it's about the fact that we out here, we're called Party People, and we're out here having fun. I guess you could even throw in there broken glass everywhere.
You're old school.
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep from going under. I'm telling y'all.
Karaoke. We might have to have a karaoke episode, y'all. If you want us to have a karaoke episode, you know what? I'm going to throw that in the as a question for our listeners on Spotify. That's going to be a question for you guys to comment on. Do you want the Notaries Unsealed to have a karaoke session? I'm down for you. Guys, will you do a karaoke session?
Look, I'll tell you right now, you can cross my name out. You can cross my name out.
Come on, man.
Nah.
All right. Well,
nah.
I guess that leaves me. I'm the last one to go here. All right, so
and then I got my favorite song that Q don't like.
What's that?
What is artist?
What's that?
LL Cool J. I'm bad.
Oh man. No, but you know something? I actually like that song. I still listen to that song. That's not a bad song, but his old shark head lip.
I know. But yeah, so I mean, I grew up in the late 70s and mainly in the 80s, and I'm a fan of any good music, instrumentals, all of that. So I was in a band. I used to play the cornet. So any music that I can find the beat on, I'll just jam to it. Once I find the rhythm and the beat, everything's on a 4 count. So sometimes I'll just once I figure out what the beat count is, I can move with it. I can dance to it, all of that kind of stuff, everything, So
yeah. See, that's not me. My wife said I got 2 left foot, so I ain't even doing all that. You might get 2-step from me. That's about it.
That's interesting. So, Griff, you played the cornet, you said?
Yeah, I played the cornet, man. Okay. One of my favorite, my man was Chuck Mangione and everything. Right. So I used to listen to him all the time. And the cool part was that with the cornet, I used to do a lot of solos because nobody wanted to play it because the tone and the way it played was so much different from a trumpet, Right. It had a more sultry, softer sound to it. And if you played that thing just right, man. Matter of fact, I still have my cornet.
So I got to ask you this question, all right?
Yeah.
Now I'm a musician myself. I play 5 different instruments. I'm a woodwind guy.
Gotcha.
Who introduced the cornet? That is like the most awkward instrument to introduce to a child. Like, how did that even happen?
The way that happened was I wanted to be in a band.
Okay.
And that was the only, and I wanted to play the trumpet, and that was the only thing that was available.
So they ain't had no trumpets. They said, here, try this cornet.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to the store to buy a trumpet, and either the trumpet wasn't available because them trumpets brand new was expensive.
Oh yeah, they still are.
And and I still have the original case from my cornet, and I'm talking about the case was raggedy back then. It's still raggedy. I still have the original case, and I've had the cornet restored because it had dents in it and bangs up. Jeez. And I had it fixed, all the dents and all that stuff. It was bent, everything, but I played it, and I was good at it. I don't mess with it too much now because my lips gonna be tore up. but yeah, when I'm in a good mood, man, I can pull that thing out, still play the scale and all of that stuff, and
yeah, it's all about scales, man.
Yeah, once I can play the scale. I don't have the wind like I used to go past B. But I can probably play up all the way from D all the way up to maybe B sharp. And once I get over that, I ain't got the wind for it right now. But yeah, I got it. And of course the kids laughed at me because they was like, that ain't no trumpet. And the band guy was like, don't worry, man, I got something for you. And at one of the recitals, actually the only one I ever played in, I had a solo part, and I had to stand up in front of everybody and play that part. And I did, and it was flawless, and I was like, cool, I'm never doing that again. Yeah, so, but yeah, I keep my horn, man. Even when I was in the Navy, I kept my horn with me on board the ship. The whole 11 years I was in the Navy, every duty station I went to, I kept my horn. And while everybody else was out there, doing their thing in some of them ports,
right,
I would be on board the ship playing my horn, just a way.
Tooting your own horn.
Yeah, I was tooting my own horn.
You're tooting your own horn while everybody else. No, yeah, I'll stop right there. I'll stop.
Yeah, I know, man. But yeah, I played the cornet. It is cool, man. That was the only horn that if I wasn't playing the cornet, I wouldn't mind playing the trombone.
Word.
I like the trombone. And and if I was to play any other the French horns, I like too.
They were awkward. Like I used to be in a couple of different bands. But I tried holding a French horn once, and I was like, man, I don't have the coordination for this.
Yeah, you got to have your hand inside and all. Yeah. I like the French horn. I like the tone of it, but it did look a little difficult to try to play. So I never tried it. But the trombone, I was good at that. I understood the slide positions and everything. Tuba didn't mess with nothing like that. And then actually when I did try to play the trumpet, it didn't feel right.
Really?
It just didn't feel right. So I like the cornet.
Yeah, the trombone. So I was in a marching band for some time. So for anybody that's in the DMV area, I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. I went to Francis C. Hammond and played with the T.C. Williams band, and actually played ball for T.C. Williams for a little bit my 8th grade year for JV. During the marching band, so I played clarinet, bass clarinet, saxophone, and I was decent with the flute, but the clarinet and bass clarinet were my main instruments. But the trombone, man, that was the one instrument that I was always jealous of when we were marching. Because, so for concerts, the bass clarinet was great because I was the only one that played it. And there were a lot of pieces that we played where I had the solo because they needed that bass. But when you're out there on the field and you're out in a large area like that, man, those trombones, the way that they ring off, man, that gets you, the hair starts jumping on your arms, and your heart starts feel like you could feel that thing to your soul, man.
Oh yeah, that's why I like them, man. The trombone, yeah, I like them. I was supposed to be part of the group to be a part, learn from the FAMU Marching 200. and everything, but I had to choose between being in a band or playing football, and I chose football, and that was pretty much the end of my musical career and everything. And the band director got mad at me, and he was like, "Don't even talk to me no more," because I was good at it. I was good with the horn, and he wanted me to be, and I was like, "Nah, man, I like the football
this
better."
football come with this jacket, and them girls over there, they see that letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole
I got more shine
changes
on the football team.
Yeah, the whole landscape of school changes when you're an athlete from being a musician.
Completely.
You know,
Yeah.
being an athlete musician myself, I understand the different dynamics that happens there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cheerleaders didn't go after the band guys.
Nah.
Nope, not at all.
But yeah, that's cool, man. I did not know that about you, Griffin. I'm glad that you shared that with us. You know, me, like I said, I'm a musician. I don't know if you guys heard the theme song or not, the Notaries Unsealed. I might have had something to do with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and enjoy our theme song. You know, as far as the songs that have stuck out to me, I've got 3, and I'm gonna start with the sentimental ones, and then we'll end it with a bang and end this podcast, because this one's running a little bit longer, fellas. Like we're pushing time on this one, and I like it. Conversation's good. So the first song is actually my favorite song. You know, it's been my favorite song since I learned of it, and it's something that I hold dear to my heart to this day. And that's I'm a band guy, so I like big band music as well. Frank Sinatra, My Way. That song has definitely influenced my life and how I look at myself and my perception of myself, of doing things the way that I want to do things. I've kind of always been that way. And it's just a beautiful song, beautifully written song. And that's something that's always stood out to me. The second song is a very sentimental song to me, still to this day. Purple Rain by Prince. That is a song that, that's a song that I hold very near and dear to my heart. It's a song that, you know, I can't really listen to these days, because that was a song that my mother and I shared a special bond to. The reason why is because I was actually conceived in the backseat of a car during that drive-in when it was in the theaters. I mean, listen, it's just influenced my life. I wouldn't be here without that song.
Pretty much.
So Purple Rain is just a song that really is something that, like, even right now talking about it, I'm starting to get choked up because I'm just thinking about my mother. And that was just something that we shared, a bond that we shared with that one song, you know. So I'm going to change the topic from that, because we are running long and I don't want to get, you know, too deep into discussing my feelings regarding that. And the last song, I think y'all are going to like this. Man, I used to listen to this song on my way to school, and I was a young boy when I heard this song for the first time. But as I grew up, the things that this song has done for me. Barry White, Practice What You Preach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and y'all ladies that are listening to this right now, you know what song I'm talking about. That's all I'm going to say. All right, gentlemen, we are done with this podcast.
Yeah.
It's been another great one. I appreciate you guys, man. I love doing this.
Yeah, we definitely have a good time, man. Especially given the fact that, you know, this is probably by far our longest episode, but hey, it's all out of love. You know, we had a great time. You know, that's what we were doing. We're bringing you guys something different.
Oh yeah, yep.
All right, any last words?
Oh man, just enjoy life, people. That's all. Just enjoy life. Respect each other. Respect yourself, and everything else will fall in place.
Mathurin, you good?
Yeah. No, that is pretty much it, man. You know, just stay focused on you. You know, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You know, it's not about perfection. It's about taking consistent action. That's all.
That's beautiful. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks again. Make sure you join us next time. Follow us on Instagram at the Notaries Unsealed. All right. You can also check us out on the website, notariesunsealed.com. And if it's not up by the time you guys hear this, it'll be up shortly. All right. I promise that. So we're going to bid you guys adieu.
We Notaries Unsealed.
Love your life,
This my
love your
everyday
business,
life. Yeah.
and love yourself.
We Notaries Unsealed. Every day I hustle out here living it right.
I've had my
We Notaries
share of
Unsealed.
love,
Put the stamp down and stop in front of the mic. Here we go. Took the game over. We home now. We soldiers.
I'm just playing, y'all.
Mathurin and Q, the podcast. You can't hold us. Y'all heard the word. Y'all heard the word. Griff, Mathurin and Q. Yeah, we on the verse. So diverse with no rehearse. That's how we work. Authentic when we give it. If we said it, then we meant it. Not to be confused with other people's views. They get it how they get it, and we get it how we do. Look, homie, this is a whole different game. We got a whole different aim. We in a whole different lane. Yeah. We Notaries Unsealed. This my everyday life. We Notaries Unsealed. Every day I hustle out here living it right. We Notaries Unsealed. Put the stamp down and step in front of the mic. Took the game over. We home now. We soldiers. Griff, Mathurin and Q, the podcast. You can't hold us. We Notaries Unsealed. Every day I hustle out here living it right. We Notaries Unsealed.